So, what actually makes a reality show great these days? I mean, is it that raw, totally unpredictable competition? Or is it the perfectly engineered drama that producers cook up behind the scenes? Well, today we're going to dive right into that question by breaking down one season of reality TV classic to really understand the whole genre's modern identity crisis. Look, we are living in the golden age of prestige TV, right? Between all the streaming giants and network television, the quality of storytelling is just incredible. And that means our expectations as viewers, they're sky high. We're totally spoiled for choice, and that means every single show, including reality TV, has to fight for our attention. And believe me, it is a fight. Just take a look at this list from Rotten Tomatoes. These are just some of the shows from this year that critics gave a perfect 100% score. You've got these searing documentaries, intense historical dramas, brilliant comedies. I mean, this is the world reality TV has to compete in, and that is a tough crowd to please. So, that really brings us to the big question. How does a show that's been on the air for over 2 decades manage to stay relevant? And more importantly, how does it stay good when that's the competition? To figure that out, we're going to put season 37 of The Amazing Race right under the microscope. This season, you'll see, perfectly captures that push and pull between what the show has always been and what producers think it needs to be today. Yeah, this season really turned into this fascinating battleground. On one side, you have everything the longtime fans were hoping for. And on the other, you've got these producer-driven twists that are just designed to shake things up. Before the season even started, the excitement was real. I mean, fans on Reddit were hyped. They saw a pretty eclectic group, they were celebrating the age diversity, we're talking multiple racers over 59, and they noted the really strong queer representation. The hope was that this awesome cast would lead to an awesome season of racing. But then, the twists started coming. And what's so interesting here is the clear disconnect. Fans just wanted to get to know the teams, hoping for a fair start. And what did the producers give them? A double elimination on the very first leg. One commenter just summed it all up perfectly, calling it an empty gimmick for drama that just doesn't work when you're not even invested in the teams yet. And yet, and this is the wild part, despite all those frustrating twists, the season was widely seen as a huge success, a real return to form. So why? Well, the answer is in a classic underdog story, which just proves that a truly compelling narrative can rise above pretty much any production shenanigans. So let me introduce you to Carson and Jack. They're best friends from Brooklyn, self-described gamers, and big-time D&D players. On paper, maybe not the team you'd pick to dominate a grueling race around the globe. But their journey, it became the absolute heart and soul of the entire season. And their journey was an absolute roller coaster. They just stunned everybody by winning the very first leg. But then, in Bulgaria, disaster struck. They fell so far behind, they were looking at a 3-hour deficit. I mean, that is usually a death sentence in this race. But they did not give up. They clawed their way back, and that comeback just lit a fire. They went on to win the final 3 legs, capping it all off with a totally dominant finale. And their victory, it meant so much more than just the win itself. This quote from a fan on Reddit, it hits the nail on the head. For so many people, seeing this gay nerd archetype, not just represented, but succeeding on their own terms, was incredibly powerful. It was fulfilling. It turned a simple reality show competition into a genuinely emotional experience. So how'd they pull it off? Well, it definitely wasn't just luck. Their success really came down to 3 key things. First up, their communication was incredible. Something they actually said was because they went to therapy together before the race. Second, they always stayed calm under pressure, using their smarts to outthink the challenges. And finally, their positivity was relentless. Even when they were hours behind, it was infectious and it kept them in the game. And for all that hard work, all those smarts, and that amazing positivity, they walked away with the grand prize, $1 million. A totally well-earned victory that gave us a really satisfying end to the season. It just proved that a great, authentic story can be the biggest prize of all. Okay, so Carson and Jack's story tells us a ton about what we as an audience really crave. But to get why producers often feel like they have to rely on those controversial gimmicks, we gotta zoom out and look at the bigger industry pressures that are shaping the whole reality TV playbook.
One huge trend is something people are calling sob story fatigue. You've probably felt this, right? This quote, which is about another travel competition show, really highlights a growing frustration. Viewers are just getting tired of producers forcing these emotional backstories into every single moment, arguing that it takes away from the actual race and adventure they tuned in for.
Now, here's another tactic, which this article from The Tab calls casting for clicks. The source argues that producers sometimes cast controversial figures, which they go on to describe as right-wing grifters, specifically to stir up controversy and get a viral moment. But the article concludes this strategy often backfires, because those contestants get eliminated early and just leave a bad taste in viewers' mouths.
Which brings us right back to The Amazing Race. Look, season 37 had its share of engineered drama. It had a team that played the villain role, and it had those producer twists we were talking about. But in the end, the season's success didn't hinge on any of that stuff. It was successful because the story of Carson and Jack's hard-fought, authentic victory was just that compelling. It was, plain and simple, good TV.
So that leaves us with the big question for the future of the whole genre. As this battle for our attention gets more and more intense, what are producers going to choose? Will they trust in the power of authentic stories and real competition, or will they just double down on engineered controversy to chase clicks and viral moments? The answer, whatever it is going to define the next era of reality television.